Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My paper today is titled with the inflammatory response and odontogenic differentiation of inflamed dental bulb treated with different bulb capping materials. It's an in vivo study done by Chung and his group from Seoul and published in International Endodontic Journal 2023. I chose this article because, as we know, in our literature there is a limited studies talking about the histologic examination of the bulbal response to bulb capping materials. The aim of this study was to evaluate the degree of bulbal inflammation and hard tissue formation of inflamed rat dental bulb after direct bulb capping with different bulb capping materials. For materials emitted, a total of 124 molars from 62 specific pathogen-free rats, divided into 12 groups, 10 teeth per group, and followed up 1, 2, and 4 weeks. 4 molars from 2 rats used to determine the development of inflammation after 48 hours. Class 1 cavities were prepared on both maxillary first molars, and fine pinpoint exposure of the bulb tissue was made with the tip of a 26 gauge needle. After 48 hours, the cavities were irrigated with sterile normal saline and gently dried using a paper point. The exposed area was covered with one of 4 different bulb capping materials: Pro-Root MTA, Biodentin, Retro MTA, and Dical. The cavities were finally restored with resin-modified glass ionomer. The all surgical procedure was performed under surgical microscope. Total maxilla was dissected for histological sections. For histological examination, all blocks serially sectioned at 7 micrometer and stained with the H&E stains. 2 examiners in an independent blinded manner examined and evaluated the degree of inflammation and hard tissue formation. Immunofluorescence analysis for immunofluorescence staining for interleukin-6, osteocalcine, and RONX2 also performed. Sections were observed using a confocal laser microscope. Here is the bar graph summarizing the results of bulb inflammation, and we can see the difference between 1 week, 2 weeks, and 4 weeks. Here in the x-axis showing different capping materials, while in the y-axis showing the percentage of the samples. And we can notice that there is no score 3 inflammation showing here, which is severe inflammation. In the 4 weeks, we can notice there is no inflammation in 22.2 from Pro-Root MTA, also 37.5 in Biodentin, 10% from Retro MTA, while in the Dical there is a moderate and mild inflammation. Here in the bar graph, it's also summarizing the hard tissue formation 1 week, 2 weeks, and after 4 weeks between different capping materials, and on the y-axis showing the percentage of the samples. We can notice that in the Retro MTA has 10% only a slight hard tissue formation, 20% is moderate, and 70% is a heavy. Immunofluorescence analysis: after 1 week, inflammation was present in all the materials groups based on the H&E staining. Interleukin-6 was only detected in Retro MTA and Dical samples. Pro-Root MTA and Biodentin did not demonstrate noticeable interleukin-6 signals. Osteocalcine and RONX2 were not detected in all 4 material groups. After 2 weeks, samples exhibited increased in interleukin-6 signals compared to those after 1 week, and positive interleukin-6 signals were found in all material groups. Expression of RONX2 and osteocalcine was only apparent in the Biodentin group. After 4 weeks, interleukin-6 was observed near the hard tissue bridges and the outer odontoplastic layers. The intensity of interleukin-6 expression was comparable or greater compared to the specimens after 2 weeks. RONX2 and osteocalcin expression was observed in all 4 materials, with positive signals most prominent next to the hard tissue formation areas. At the end of this study, they did not identify statistically significant differences between the degree of inflammatory response and odontogenic differentiation of the different capping materials. And also, no statistically significant differences were observed between the inflammatory responses and the hard tissue formation of the 3 calcium silicate cement groups compared to the dical group. They concluded at the end that the result of this study suggests that in dental bulb with a pre-existing inflammation, the application of calcium silicate cement as a bulb capping materials may be less successful compared to their use with the healthy bulb. And thank you so much for listening.